Welcome back to the Creepypasta Files. So, I was wrong. In my Room Zero episode, I said that it was the last story in the Abandoned by Disney series. As it turns out, there are two others. However, they are both short enough and related enough to cover in one video. Let's start with Corruptus, and then when we get to the point in that story where it references the second one, A Few Suggestions, we'll go over that story. The premise of Corruptus is fairly simple. A final update from our poster of the previous stories, and he's got a lot more to tell us. So let's jump right in.
Now, a great deal of time, sweat, and a few tears were expended on all this, but there's a lot of satisfaction in developing ideas into realities which become a part of Disneyland.
Our poster was sent an email with the subject line Corruptus. It was relatively hard for him to access his emails, however, due to the fact that during this whole time it appears someone, who we can assume is Disney, has been spreading slander about his name and blocking his access to the internet. He's also being followed by people in suits with clipboards, seeming to make note of him. He was able to chase one down, but the notes they were taking were actually just pages of Mickey Mouse silhouettes. Our poster thinks that Disney is trying to make him seem as if he's gone crazy. However, he was able to access his email via a library computer and discovered the Corruptus email. To be safe, he made physical copies of the email and spread them all over the place, hid them in places so that one day someone might discover them without Disney's interference. Before we go into the email, our poster mentions that someone went to Mowgli's palace themselves and sent him a suggestion box. He doesn't mention what it contained, but there is a story by Slime Beast that explains exactly what was inside. A Few Suggestions is written entirely as if you were reading a series of notes left in an employee suggestion box. Skipping all the joke or mundane letters, here are the really important ones. I wasn't going to say anything because I'm pretty tolerant, but please stop admitting children without faces. They won't stay in the guest areas. Please give the mascots more break time or allow them to take short breathers during work hours. Sweat and body odor are one thing, but we keep getting the same suit full of vomit. I swear, all these blank kids are getting into everything. Every time I kill one of them, the others just misbehave more. I keep finding them in piles at the bottom of stairways, and they think it's funny. It's not funny. I can't get through. Costume is sticking to the sores. It's too hard to write with the gloves on. Haha, my mouse. You. Try to find Frank. I will give you clues about Frank, okay? Clue 1, it's cold. Clue 2, it's wet. Clue 3, flush. I don't think you're looking for Frank. I keep sinking into the floor, or maybe it's just that I feel like it. I can't get my head off. Ignore last card, it was my real head, I forgot. The costume is sticking to my sores, and there are more sores. All I am is sores. The costume is breathing. If I don't match its movements, I can't get any air. I keep locking the gates, but someone keeps opening them again. Please tell them to stop doing this because it lets everyone out again, and I feel that's counterproductive. They found Frank, and they're going to blame me. Please advise. Frank's face was like a bad-looking plate of mashed potatoes when they pulled them out. When I laughed at it, everyone looked at me, even the people with faces, which is odd. I have to think of what to do. Oh. I know. Hang on. I'm not sure if the suggestion box is the right place for this, but security isn't doing much about my complaint. Over the past couple days, I've been circling the resort and counting the number of staffers. As far as I can tell, there are more mascots on the grounds than we have on payroll. Security says it doesn't make sense, but I think we have one extra. Please help. Costumes are heavy with people inside, and there's no hook left for me. Wow. Pretty chilling stuff. There's some other stuff in there, but I don't want to spoil the fun of reading it yourself, but the main story of it is left in there. We'll of course cover what it means in the analysis part, but let's go back to the email. The corrupt email was blank, with an attached document. Let's take a look. Known Corruptus incidents up to and including January 2015. Treasure Island. Extreme agitation/inappropriate activity within vulture population. Mild to moderate agitation/inappropriate human activity. Resolved Corruptus. Unidentified avian species. Abandoned. Final. Disney's Pop Century Resort. Misplaced and mobile objects. Chronological displacement/anachronism. Unresolved Corruptus. Wandering Entity. Pending. Disney's River County. I think that's supposed to be country, but... Microorganism Infestation. Unresolved Corruptus. Clear Man, aka See-Through Man, aka Friendly John. Abandoned. Final. Imageworks. The What If Labs. 2nd floor. Multiple missing persons reports regarding Dreamfinder School of Drama. Pinscreen Fatality. Vibrating Mirror Sickness. Unresolved Corruptus. Wily Wizard Installation. Abandoned. Final. Mowgli's Palace. Auditory hallucination and/or projection. Misplaced and mobile objects. Moderate to severe agitation / inappropriate human activity. Unresolved Corruptus. Inverted character. Abandoned. Final. The New Global Neighborhood. Resolved Corruptus. Fiber optic worm. NGN C1. Resolved Corruptus. Digital Howl. NGN C2. Resolved. Repurposed. Room 0. Sudden onset mass hysteria. Auditory hallucination and/or projection. Unresolved Corruptus. Unknown. Contained. Final. Please note, Nara Dreamland is not an officially licensed Disney park, and no information or resources are to be shared with any responsible for containing its residents. A complete list of suspected Corruptus incidents and reports may be available. The poster then goes on to posit his own theory as to what is going on. Disney has become so popular among the general minds of humanity, its pure collective energy from the knowledge of the masses has created these corruptions. Photonegative Mickey, Gascots, he says they are almost like false gods. He suggests that even though he isn't religious, maybe God wasn't angry about people worshipping false prophets, but instead scared. Scared it might create these things. He doesn't think Disney created these quote-unquote golden calves, as he puts it, on accident. At least not entirely. He argues the whole of Disney's ideals was based around this. Clap your hands, and believe hard enough, and Tinkerbell will live. When you wish upon a star, anything your heart desires. Our poster ends by saying this is his last update. Wow, that was a lot. So, let's analyze. Okay, so my theories from previous episodes were half right. The beings in these stories were summoned by Disney's hubris, but not by some demon in punishment. It appears it's something less tangible, more ethereal. Disney's pure notoriety created these things. It's because of the pure combined belief of billions, the collective consciousness of the people. But they come out imperfect, just as Disney is imperfect. Disney's imperfection is perfectly personified in things like Club 22, which I talk about in my Room 0 episode. Okay, so now we know the basic principle of how these things were made. But what about the process? Well, for Photonegative Mickey at least, we know. Using the suggestion box, we can see with pretty good accuracy that a mascot employee became stuck inside a suit and slowly became one with the character of Mickey. However, a distorted, evil version. We also know from the suggestion box that the no-face kids from Room 0 seem to be a phenomenon around Disney, not just the Room 0 location. And finally, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the Corruptus email. I want to go through each subject and talk about them. First, we already know about Room 0 and Mowgli's Palace, and things like the fiber optic worm are a bit too vague for me to want to do a deep dive on. I do want to talk about Wily Wizard, See-Through Man, Avian Species, and the unidentified wandering entity. First, let's talk about Willy Wizard. A quick Google search of Willy Wizard will show that he is a character from the book Willy Wizard and the Wicked Witch and other stories by Godfried Bomans. Could it be that Willy Wizard was going to be a character, like a statue, animatronic, or costume, that is similar to Photonegative Mickey, trying to cause a ruckus, messing with mirrors, kidnapping people, and apparently impaling people with pin screens? Next, let's talk about the See-Through Man. Apparently his nickname is Friendly John. Maybe this is a rare occasion where the anomalies don't become inherently evil. As for the infestation, I'm not entirely sure I know what it is. Next, let's talk about the unidentified wandering entity. This one is fairly short, but whatever this wandering entity is, it appears that it has some sort of time-traveling ability. Anachronism means someone or something that is not in its correct historical or chronological time, especially a thing or person that belongs to an earlier time, at least according to my quick Google search. What this means is apparently this entity is moving objects around in time. Finally, let's talk about this unknown avian species at Treasure Island. Sounds like some sort of mutant vultures took over, and something about them is also making people act out. This avian species could also be what is causing the vultures to be angry, so it could be its own demon summoned by Disney. Either way, that's it. As far as I know, that's the last abandoned by Disney story. I hope you guys enjoyed the finale to the Abandoned by Disney storyline. I really liked this story, and it's probably my favorite Creepypasta series to date. Let me know in the comments what story you'd like me to cover next, or just tell me what's on your mind. The best comment will be pinned. See you guys next time.
Why do they despise me so? I created them. Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created? I'm no loon.